Shri Rajuvacha
Shri Rajuvacha
Indrasya Nirvriter
Indrasya Nirvriter
Hetum Shrotum Ichami Homune Yinasan Shukino Deva Hare Dukam Kuto Bhava Shri Rajuvacha Indriya Sha Nirvriter Hetum Shrotum Ichami Homune Yinasan Sukino Deva Hare Dukam Kuto Bhava Shri Rajuvacha Indriya Nirvriter Hetum Shrotum Ichami Homune Yinasan Sukino Deva Hare Dukam Kuto Bhava
Shri Rajuvacha Indrasyani Vritirhetum Shrotum Ichami Homune Yinasan Sukino Deva Hare Dukam Kuto Bhavat
Shri Rajuvacha Indrasyani Vritirhetum Shrotum Ichami Homune Yinasan Sukino Deva Hare Dukam Kuto Bhava
Shri Rajuvacha King Parikshit inquired Indrasya of King Indra Anirvrite of the moroseness Hetum the reason Shrotum to hear Ikchami I wish O my Lord Mune O great sage Shukadev Goswami Yena by which Asan where Sukina very happy Deva all the demigods Hare of Indra Dukam moroseness Kuta from where Abhavat was. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami, a great sage, what was the reason for Indra's unhappiness? I wish to hear about this. When he killed Vritasura, all the demigods were extremely happy. Why then was Indra himself unhappy? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is of course a very intelligent question. When a demon is killed, certainly all demigods are happy. In this case, however, when all the demigods were happy, because of Vritrasura's having been killed, Indra was unhappy. Why? It may be suggested that Indra was unhappy because he knew that he had killed a great devotee and a brahmana. Vritrasura outwardly appeared to be a demon, but inwardly he was a great devotee and therefore a great brahmana. Herein it is clearly indicated that a person who is not at all demoniac, such as Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, may outwardly be a demon or be born in a family of demons. Therefore, in terms of real culture, one should not be considered a demigod or a demon simply according to birth. In his dealings while fighting with Indra, Vritrasura proved himself a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Furthermore, as soon as he finished fighting with Indra and was apparently killed, Vritrasura was transferred to Vaikuntha to become associate of Sankarshan. Indra knew this, and therefore he was morose that having killed such a demon was actually a Vaishnava or a Brahmana. A Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. Also, a Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava. In Padma Purana, The Padma Purana says that karman puno vipro mantra tantra visharadaha avaishnavo guru nashyat vaishnavas shwapacho guru. One may be a Brahmana in terms of his culture and the family, and may be expert in Vedic knowledge, mantra tantra visharadaha. But if he is not a Vaishnava, he cannot be a guru. This means that an expert Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava, but a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. A millionaire may very easily possess hundreds and thousands of dollars, but a person with hundreds and thousands of dollars is not necessarily a millionaire. Vritrasura was a perfect Vaishnava, and therefore he was also a Brahmana. Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharanya Vishesha Shrivari Pashkati Dhyatani. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, O great sage, what was the reason for Indra's unhappiness? I wish to hear about this. When he killed Vritrasura, all the demigods were extremely happy. Why then was Indra himself unhappy? So here, of course, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada addresses a very elementary issue, which finally actually contributed to the total ruination of Vedic culture, and that is that people relate to the external symbols, symptoms and designations, and not to the actual real quality. Therefore, Prabhupada, like example, gave a very revolutionary definition to the word dharma, which normally in India it's very often used, Hindu dharma and tax dharma or whatever dharma, they don't have taxes really, but they gave up. But anyway, it's like, it's this dharma and that dharma and family dharma and children dharma and Prabhupada said, no. Sanatana dharma means that he defined it in terms of quality, that which is eternal and cannot be changed, cannot be modified, cannot be adjusted to something else. It's eternal. It carries this eternal value. Prabhupada gave the example, water is wet, you don't find dry water. Fire is hot, you don't find cold fire. These qualities which are just attached to a particular element. So this is what it is. So we should be very much aware that this is the nature of Krishna consciousness. It's the quality, which of course, for Mayavadis is impossible, because to understand equalities, you have to start to discriminate. This is one of the most heinous things, this Mayavadic philosophy, because it's actually for people which don't have a brain to discriminate. Today it's easy to explain that it's all one and the same. All this import of this Indian gurus from India is carrying the same message. Universal, one, same, love, peace, energy, positive, thinking, la 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 la. There's a whole vocabulary to it, which sounds great. People will think, that's so nice. I am you, you are me, we are all the same brothers and sisters. Even communists love that. Even they were fighting the imperialists all the time. That was where the oneness was really stopping. But, I grew up in it. I remember that we had in kindergarten, in the first grade of school, we were even cutting out of paper like chains, you fold paper together and cut a pattern and then you unfold it. And that pattern was children holding the hands, embracing the globe. This was like always one and the same, and brothers and sisters and same one, always pumping that thing. We are living in a country which is totally based on this illusion. It's illusion. Nothing is the same. And even Srila Prabhupada's preaching was many times attacked, especially by Indians who were completely polluted by this mentality. You are not Samadarshana, you're discriminating. You should not discriminate. Yes, in an ultimate sense, we are all part of Krishna, spiritual by nature. Yes, that makes us one. But simultaneously different, and that part is always edited out. And this is what Lord Chaitanya brought about. Chincha Veda Veda Tattva. We are all one, yes, spiritually, but simultaneously different. And that's simultaneously different. That cannot be understood in a material platform. How can you be one and different simultaneously? It's just materially spoken. It's crazy. It doesn't work. So they can't accommodate that because they never actually tasted spiritual life. Like Prabhupada gave a very different, a very clear definition of what is oneness in ISKCON. He said, you all go to Kirtan. Kirtan is all one. You chant, I chant, But of course we can even turn that event, which is entirely transcendental, into something material by who is standing in front, who is standing in back, who is standing right, who is left, who should lead, who should not lead. Could make it to a Gandhava competition, who sings higher, who sings better, But obviously we are not one, because one is singing actually horribly, another one sings more palatably. It's already not there, it's already divided there. And then should only the one who are musically gifted lead kirtan, and those who are not should not lead kirtan, but we are all one in a kirtan, yeah, of course. Prabhupada said it's nice when Mahamantra is presented in a palatable way. But Prabhupada said they are not musicians. No. We are chanters, we are playing. And it's the sincerity of prayer which counts, actually, ultimately. It's the sincerity. And that will be manifested in action. Like Arjuna accepted sincerely Krishna's instruction. The result was he was ready to lay down his life to fight for Krishna. That was the result of this. And right away in the Bhagavad Gita I have a wonderful illustration. It's not all one and the same. Otherwise, what's the use of all this preaching? Why is Krishna saying, no, you kill them. They are the enemies. Arjuna said, I don't want the enemies. Then me, let them all have it. I will just go in the forest and enjoy the peace. If not, you want to fight with me? There's a whole vocabulary in Mahabharata, I can just run down the whole thing. Whatever you see in others, that's actually you. That's true on a certain level. Yes. Like a lusty man will see only lusty people. Hungry man will see only food. Yeah. I remember once a father of a certain Mataji arrived in Stockholm. He was from Czech, so I picked him up and he was very happy he could speak with me. And then he never was in Sweden before. And we came to Korsnäs Club. We came to a village called Tumba. And Tumba was the name of a very famous Swedish ice hockey player. So the man knew nothing about Sweden, but he knew something about Tumba. That was the ice hockey player. Tumba! Yeah. Another parent of devotee arrived, and there is another village called in Sweden Salem. Well, there's the Indian version, Salem, and there's also American Salem, and that's where that Mataji came from. And she was going, Sweden, Salem, there was a Salem. You see, people associate all the time with things which they kind of can contain in their brains, and they see the worlds through this. Therefore Prabhupada said it's very difficult for people to accept Krishna because you have to give it all up. You just have to give it up. Whatever you heard, it's nonsense. Give it up. But we are like reflexes, It's like an animal which, I don't want to get too detailed, but I used to have a horse which you could scare totally with a gummy pipe. As soon as the horse saw a gummy pipe, started to run like mad. Because somebody, before that horse came to me, was beating the horse with a gummy pipe. So immediately, yeah. Or, Prabhupada gives so many examples. He gives, the Mayavadis, they will declare sweet rice being Maya. It's to enjoyment and it's to palatable Maya. And they say, it doesn't taste good. Why? Because they have an experience of tasting sweet rice with sand. Sand sometimes looks like sugar. Somebody made a mistake and so sugar put a sweet rice in the sand. You can imagine how that tastes like. The sand When you have such an experience, you will declare all the sweet times being full of sand. And that means because they have so much problem with variety, they will try to eliminate the variety, because variety creates problem. I like it, you don't like it. You know, this should be accepted, this should not be accepted. This should be done, this should not be done. Why do we just, you know? So sometimes we take the Hare Krishna mantra and we use it like an umbrella for Mayavada oneness. No, that's going to be a very different show going on. The Hare Krishna mantra will actually bring out our real individuality. You know, like in the spiritual world, everything is individual and personal to such a degree that even the leaves on a tree are individually. So in ecstasy with Krishna, relating to him, each single leaf and each single tree and everything. Krishna sits there, you know, at the Yamuna and plays the flute. Yamuna gets so ecstatic, it turns into milk. And when Krishna walks up the stream turns around and Yamuna flows suddenly in the opposite direction because she's so enchanted by him. So that's how personal things get. All the cows, it's getting so personal. The tune, personal desire to serve Krishna is so strong that you can even change to any kind of form and body just to please Krishna at that particular moment. Even there are particular rasas, you know, which are maintained, that's studied. But within that rasa, you can, you know, as a servant, you can change. He wants a chair, you can change into a chair. He wants to a table, you can change into a table. Because it's not a chair, table, it's full of consciousness. It's alive. Here, we are all surrounded by down matter. And even we act like down matter, pushing on each other and, you know, and they are like squeezed furniture, just squeezing on each other. The exchanges are very external. And it's because we don't know. We don't know how to actually come to that real person. This was the shocking experience when you met Srila Prabhupada. You know, first person, you know, who could any time at any place relate to you as the person. And you realize that actually you're not ready for that. Because nobody ever dealt with you like this. Even all these people coming in your life going, I love you and whatever it is, it was reflection of their own desire. You can see it on females. How strong they want that child. I want it. You know, turning the man more or less like into some inseminator device, that's all. Let's get realistic. Because my desire is like this. I want to have it. This was my biggest argument when our GBC previously introduced the Grihastha Ashrama with children into the temple I managed. I had like 6, 7 Grihastha couples already fully functioning, you know, living, but there was no one child, nothing. It was all more or less Vanaprastha style, the whole thing. And then he started with the section, you know, the women are going crazy. My wife was a leader. So, you know, they go crazy. They don't need a child. If they don't have a child, they go crazy. And I said, this will change this whole temple. First of all, we will have this, can you imagine here? One child, the whole atmosphere, because children, there are no restrictions. They will come in, you can see it every Sunday feast, what they do with the Sunday feast to the children. The Indian children are quite cool. The Western children, you know, they will just knock out the tree and they will just demolish and squash it. So, you know, yeah. I mean, I only twice already had to chase children from the flowers, you know, they just go and don't expect the strawberries which are growing there being ever offered to Krishna, you know, to be eaten by the children in the Sunday feast like last year. You know, there are no restrictions, especially because I'm not educated very well. So, you know, everything changes. So I told him, this is how, when you do that, then, then all the restaurant we have, and these 2 Sri Brahmacharis who go out and still collect something, they will collect for the Grihasthas. That's usually how it turns out. It became a disaster in ISKCON. When the Grihasthas were still residential in the temple with Brahmacharis, You know, because the Grihastha did less and less and less. As Prabhupada said, no, that they have now new deities. The deities are the children. So that's where the offering goes to. And Prabhupada said it not always even negatively. He said that's how it's going to be. And then the brahmacharis were collecting, and the grihasthas were doing less and less, and the brahmacharis were supposed to do more and more. It came to a conflict, of course. Because the brahmacharis were going, I joined Krishna consciousness to collect for a piece of another grihastha. I did that. I did many years collecting for children of others. You know, I mean, the service is okay, but nowadays I would probably voice some doubt about this. if the little energy I have is rightly invested. Therefore, grihastha means you take responsibility and you taste it. As we mentioned, 2 days ago with Lalitanath here, devotees get so used to this here. They come, prasadam comes to the door here, and whoop! Because all the boys we have sitting here have no idea what Grihastha Ashrama is. Not even a glimpse of it. Because in Grihastha Ashrama, the food doesn't come on the table. It's not there. The wife will cook it. Yeah, but you have to go shopping first. Here, nobody goes shopping. The cooking comes like through the door. There's always somebody cooking in the kitchen. We don't see him right now. So in other words, you are living in a quite freely available hotel with free restaurant. And what you do for that? Chanting 16 hours? I tell you quite frankly, any half-brained idiot can do that. If he wants to. That's desires, that's another thing, that's a problem. But technically spoken, I can pick anybody from the street and teach him in one day how to chant 16 rounds. He will think it's a terrible job, but once he technically spoken, what is the difficulty about the mantra? Then what actually is so elevated about us? So sometimes people don't, right away from the first minute they come in the door, they don't understand what they get. They have to be remembered what they get. And you have always somebody around who is concerned. Even we don't want him, especially in Scandinavia, we don't want him for anybody being concerned. Because in a social welfare state, everything is taken care of. You don't have to come and do you need something or share your needs or nothing. You just go to some office and get money, that's all. That's how impersonal, another impersonal thing. We know is that actually in countries where people more suffer, they are forced to be more personal. In the communistic days, there was a certain type of it was like people who actually escaped from a sinking boat and they end up in a small boat and couldn't go anywhere in the middle of the ocean. That was the lifestyle in communistic countries. So everything had to be shared and you had to help each other because there was nobody actually really doing anything for you, After all this blah blah blah, communistic blah blah blah, there was no way to get an electric installation done or nothing. Therefore it was so pleasant for me to work with the Eastern country devotees in Scandinavia because they are all around do-it-yourself people. Because nobody comes, nobody helps. It's not available. You don't have things available like here. And we see in countries how difficult it is to preach when things are so available. People are wasting things, throwing things away, not appreciating what they are getting, nothing. So it takes a little brain to appreciate the values of the service you receive. In other words, to be grateful. And that's what whole Krishna consciousness is based on. Krishna, thank you. Thank you, for actually being able to serve you. That service in itself wasn't available for millions of years to many. Why? Krishna is not so cheap as they think. Maybe in Denmark they think like this, but no, Krishna is not so cheap. Come, because it's so freely available, we think we can do with Krishna anything we want, it's mine, God. Therefore a real devotee thinks, I'm trying to be a devotee, and he works in a mood of gratefulness, because he knows, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is the ultimate expression of gratefulness. He said, I would be already so happy if I next lifetime, nothing about going back home, back to Godhead, if I could live in a house of a Vaishnava, like a worm, like an insect or worm, and just be close to somebody who chants the holy name. That would be very nice. This is real gratefulness. Because who is doing that? You go out there, who, what? Who is remembering Krishna? Who is serving anything? Who is actually serving anybody? In one sense. So we get so many benefits in Krishna consciousness, we don't understand them. We are used to take it so easily. Hey, you know. And even care is considered sometimes being abusive, because we have still the inherent feeling inside built in that I can take care of myself. I'm kind of God, you know. I am full of opulences, I'm full of knowledge, I'm full of power, I'm the most beautiful. I can make it, it's no problem. This mentality is always coming up. Even it's completely defeated by the material energy. Totally proven to us daily that we actually are not at all in that category. So, the thing here, Indra was mysteriously morose, but actually the Prabhupada said actually there's nothing mysterious. Prabhupada didn't like the word wonder. He said wonder is only for fools. Everything has a reason. There's a reason to that. Krishna is the reason. So therefore everything, there's a logic. Even sometimes not our logic, but it's Krishna's logic. There's always a reason why things are happening. So the reason for Indra's is this uncovered here for moroseness, because he knew perfectly well that Vritrasura was actually a devotee. It's amazing. I mean, this rasa, this pastime is really amazing, because you really don't know who is the enemy and who is the friend at the end. Because they are both devotees. So it's not funny if somebody will tell you, you have to kill this man, and you know he's a devotee. That's one of the reasons why Arjuna didn't want to fight. Because he knew there's devotees on the other side. You know, there's Bhishmadev, there's all these wonderful, amazing personalities. I have to find them, I have to kill them. People who raised me, who just, who have memories from childhood, who were teaching me, my teachers, everything. You cannot imagine the emotional load which is in that, built in there. You cannot picture yourself if somebody would tell you, somebody you really like and you grew up with, and now you have to kill him. You have to fight him and kill him. This is amazing. This is very heavy. So Arjuna had a good reason to be depressed. And Indra, he also actually, in a process, because he was also a devotee of the fight, he developed actually affection from Vritrasura. He actually learned to understand and appreciate what a nice devotee. Still, it was destined, to kill him. Same thing for like Bhishmadev, he had to die. But the death of such a devotee is of a completely different nature as being shot somewhere, in a battlefield or something like that. It's a departure. It's a grand, wonderful departure. Therefore you see Vritrasura, just one arm missing, he's giving another speech, and he's just lecturing while his body is cut in pieces. Imagine what a lecture that is, my dear friend, then he cuts off your arm, and then you go, yes, I'm not the arm, and I'm Krishna's servant, and he cuts the other arm, and you go, yes, that's, and that's very good, because now I will finally leave this, this monstrous body, and then, and then you say, and then he gets depressed, and you have to preach to him, no, keep on going, kill me, hey, don't spoil the game here, it's, what a lecture. Same thing, Bhishma lying in a bed of arrows, his body being perforated in such a way that actually he could lie on it. I can't imagine, it's physically almost unexplainable, And he's lecturing, a big lecture, and Krishna is present, and the Pandavas, and they listen, and he gives an amazing lecture about Varnashram, Dharma, and everything. And then, you go, I'm a little bit thirsty, and Arjuna shoots the arrow.